Assemblywoman Miller.
Hi. I represent an area with Senator Kaminsky, and being the mother of a handicapped child myself, I seem to attract lots of questions from peers and fellow family members that have children with special needs. And something that I've been asked a lot about is self-direction. So I have a couple of questions about self-direction. It seems to be something that's troubling many people, myself included, because my son is 17. So there seems to be some slowdown, for lack of a better phrase. This program, if you're lucky enough to find a Medicaid service coordinator, which there are a sparsity of, then you would have to get a broker. And from what I understand, a family member can train to become a broker, or you can hire a broker. And there is a lot of question about the follow-up of these brokers. Obviously, you would suspect, expect that you can trust a family member who's a broker, but what is the follow-up of a non-family member broker? Are they monitored at all 6 months later, a year later? Because I've heard nightmare stories of some families who have gotten a broker, and then that broker takes their case, and then that broker disappears, and their budget is never launched. And then if you are lucky enough to get the Medicaid service coordinator and the broker, there seems to be a significant problem getting to the third step, the fiscal intermediary. And there's a moratorium. In fact, a list came out just today of the most recent fiscal intermediaries, and the moratorium placed on these fiscal intermediaries that's saying they're not taking on new cases until further notice. So what are these families supposed to do? What are we supposed to do when we cannot effectively transition our children?
So I'm sorry, to hear that you've experienced and you're hearing that others are experiencing difficulties with self-direction. We have been doing a lot of work on ensuring that the fiscal intermediaries are appropriately compensated, because there was an issue around payment to them that we've been working on, and also, trying to work together on broker services with those that are providing them. We do have over 10,000 people who are at some point in self-direction plans and are self-directing, many of them very successfully so. So what I would offer to you is if you would want to have an opportunity for us to come and have a meeting with some families around self-direction. We have done that successfully in some other parts of the state where we have some people who are really quite knowledgeable. In self-direction, we've gotten wonderful feedback when we've had those family meetings.
I would appreciate that.
I think that might be a good next step, perhaps.
I think that would be wonderful, but I also fear that, and this is a concern of mine personally, but I think for many families, self-direction is wonderful for a population, but as with many things in this population of disabled people, it's not one size fits all. It's far from one size fits all. I happen to have a child who does not fit most, and this will not work for him. It does not work for many families. And what happens if it is working for you very well, and then something happens? What happens if something happens to the caretaker? Or what happens if a baseline changes? There are so many variables, so many places where this can fall apart. And then what happens?
Yeah, and certainly we have heard concerns of families, very similar to what you were expressing. I know that we have very actively been thinking about the type of thing that's referred to as a safety net kind of availability for people who are in these types of service arrangements. But I would also really just echo and reinforce what you're saying, is there really is not a one-size-fits-all approach for people. Hopefully you're not experiencing situations where, families are only given a certain option, because we really do want to look at each person's individual needs in a person-centered way and
But
try
when you
to...
look at the alternative, which is removing the workshops into an integrated, which is what the state is doing, we're not left with too much in the middle.
You're saying for the day supports when
Right.
your family member might leave school.
So that's a scary future.
Thank you.